catch up with Luke Spillar and Adam Slack from the magnificent rock band, The Struts. Lyndsey, take it away.
Hi, I'm Lyndsey Parker from Yahoo Entertainment and Sirius XM Volume, and welcome to Believe in Music Week at NAMM 2022. It is my pleasure to now be joined by two men from a band that I have believed in for many years, Luke Spillar and Adam Slack of The Struts. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
As I said, I've been believing you guys for a while. I think it was about like 5 or 6 years ago, someone emailed me and said, Lyndsey, was this band made for you in a lab? Because it checked like all the boxes of things I like, all the influences, all the vibes. And yeah, pretty much. I mean, if a band was made in a lab, it would be you guys. And it's been really exciting to see you guys evolve and try different things over the years. So yeah, there's lots to cover here, but I guess I'll start with, since it's called Believe in Music Week, the general vibe is how music helps people, helps society. And you guys certainly stayed busy over the last year, despite lockdown, or even kind of because of it. You guys got into a lot of stuff. So I guess I want to start with your last full-length album, which came out in 2020, which was called Strange Days. It was one of the great lockdown albums of that era. You were one of the first artists to do it. Like you and Charlie XCX were like two of the first artists to come up with this idea. So let's talk about the process of how you all kind of moved into this house, like monkey style, and made a record that really kind of was the Exile on Main Street of COVID, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely had that feeling. It was one of these things that we decided to do once all the touring had been cancelled. So we all got tested, and then we went into the producer's house, which was John Levine, and we were only meant to record 2-3 songs. And I think it was just a combination of excitement and knowing that we weren't able to do anything else. And then I think it was by the fourth day or so, we had like five or 6 songs, or at least like ideas. And we knew pretty soon, like, wow, okay, we could do a full-length record here if we wanted. But it has like a claustrophobic feeling to it. Like the sound is really like in your face and up close, because it was the first time we've ever really recorded as a foursome, like in a room, actually including John Levine, who was playing piano for a lot of the songs as well. So it does have that quality to it where it's captured like a vibe, which is really unique, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Adam, can you talk a little bit about, because is it true that you actually literally wrote and recorded 10 songs in 10 days, something like that?
Yeah, so it was basically, well, one of them was a cover, so technically we wrote 9 songs, but yeah, we kind of just decided that, right, everyone just start banking stuff. So I just started coming up with as many guitar riffs as I possibly could, and Luke came up with as many lyrics as he could, and I think that kind of gave us a head start, because the amount of lyrics that Luke had and the amount of riffs that I had is like kind of like the song, you know, the nucleus of these songs kind of just started themselves. And I think writing lyrics is it takes up so much time. So when Luke came in with so many already, that I think that gave us the chance to actually do as many songs as we did. But yeah, we wrote, I mean, Bar is coming in with lyrics and riffs and stuff like that. They were all written, all those 9 original songs were all written in those, well, actually about 7, like in a week. And then the last 3 days were like tracking and overdubs. Well, yeah, overdubs, yeah. It wasn't many.
Yeah, I did all of the lead vocals in the last 2 days or so, and then everyone was doing the BBs. And then there was a few guitar overdubs, but I don't think we did a huge amount. It was mainly just vocals on the last 2 or 3 days. I think, right, we've got to do this now. But yeah, it was really cool.
Well, why were you guys so inspired? Because a lot of people, especially then, we're going back to spring 20, we're going back almost 2 years ago, but spring 2020.
That's weird.
I know, right? a lot of people were, you know, very much in a funk, not feeling creatively inspired. As you mentioned, Luke, tour dates being canceled. I know Struts have always been a real road warrior kind of band. So a lot of bands and people in general, obviously, were feeling very uninspired and stressed. And yet somehow, you know, in keeping with the theme of Believe in Music Week, you guys were feeling especially inspired. Why was that?
Like I said, I think it was a combination of having the opportunity to work in an environment that we just had never had done before. The last two albums were done in a very specific way, where myself and Adam would work in a, sorry about that. There's a fire. We would work either like together, or we would work with producers, or just like in the studio, and then we would normally kind of track these songs up. And the rhythm section would be pretty much like the last thing on the song. And as much as we enjoyed that process, I think by the end of the second record, we'd been really itching to create something that was to at least try and have a go at being extremely organic. And I think just the thought of that was enough to kind of keep us inspired every day when we woke up, saying like, oh, we've only got 7 days left, or we've only got 8 days left. We have no idea when we're going to be able to do this again. It was kind of like it was a good chance to prove to ourselves that we could come up with a strong album in a way that we haven't done before.
Well, then, speaking of recording in ways that you haven't done before, after Strange Days came out and after you'd all been hunkered down in John Levine's house in LA, you kind of all went your separate ways physically. You all, you know, went into lockdown in different parts of the world, but you've continued to work together digitally or whatever, virtually, right? And you've been working on music all this time while, you know, one's been in Derby, one's been in LA, etc. Tell me about what you've been working on. I'm kind of getting the impression you might have enough material in the can. I think you might already have another album in the can, right?
Well,
I mean, that's what I'm that's what I'm, you know, manifesting. That's what I want.
I mean, we were working a lot before the lockdown, and we actually, in truth, had the best part of what could be perceived as the foundations of another record. And those songs still exist. They're still with us and have kind of stood the test of time. And there's some of them are like kind of almost over 2 years old now. But in terms recently, we haven't done like a huge amount. I think we've all been kind of speaking a bit more about what it is that we'd exactly like to do. I mean, funny enough, we were meant to be in the studio right now.
Right now.
Yeah, but basically with the whole new variant coming in, it would have meant that after what has already been quite a difficult year with touring, etc., that there's a chance that we wouldn't be able to get back to the United Kingdom. So we decided to pull that. But I really wish I could tell you what is to come. But there's some really, really, really interesting big things going to be happening next year.
And well, I did want to talk about one of the songs you released post Strange Days, which I believe was sort of done virtually, which was one of my top singles of 2021, which was Lowkey in Love with Paris Jackson. Definitely a collaboration maybe people didn't expect or see coming, but absolutely worked. And like, how did that come together? And I think it really, I mean, I know there's a real life story about probably pre-COVID of meeting Paris Jackson in a bar, but how did then that turn into that duet?
It happened we had the song, we were kind of like tracking it as a band, and the idea was kind of put out there. You know, would the narrative of the song perhaps be stronger with a guy and a girl kind of singing it to each other, And then once that idea was kind of explored, it was then just a case of like, okay, well, who would fit on the track? So yeah, I reached out to Paris, who I had been talking to at the time, and yeah, she was really down. She was really up for it, and the rest is kind of history. And then the video was fun, well, funny to make, because I shot my part in London, and then she shot her part in Los Angeles. So it was a kind of a real lockdown process of making a music video, which is something that we hadn't really done before. But yeah, it came out great. Bryson Roach, who directed the video, really sort of like helped me to put a visual onto the track, and like what I was kind of feeling and thinking that the video could feel like and look like. And against all odds, I think it came out pretty cool.
Absolutely. So I want to ask both of you this. So obviously a lot of people, a lot of critics, a lot of people like Joe Elliott and you know, Dave Grohl and people like that hold the Struts up as like the leaders of a new kind of movement in rock, or a band that, you know, is kind of reviving rock or saving rock or whatever words you want to use. But you also do stuff that veers into pop. You know, Robbie Williams is on Strange Days. You did a remix of Body Talk with Kesha. We just talked about you doing something with Paris Jackson. You know, you don't stay in a box. So I wonder, I mean, I look at the comments and stuff, and for every person that thinks it's awesome that you did something with Kesha or Robbie or Albert Hammond Jr. or Paris, there's some rock purist who's like, this isn't rock, which I find so super annoying. But I'd love to get both of your thoughts on this idea that I don't think any of us, the three of us, agree with, that rock has to be just, you know, one thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such an antiquated idea to me.
Yeah, I just don't care. At the end of the day, I think it's important to be unique. And funny enough, the most successful genre of music, which probably arguably is rap / urban music, is probably the most collaborative genre on the planet right now. And I think there's a direct correlation between artists collaborating with one another and how successful it is, and how much it kind of reaches different people, different fan bases. And I personally think that the rock community could benefit from that in its own unique way. It's just funny, like you said, purists. People seem to have like this preconceived idea of what it is to actually kind of be rock, and I think the world's changing. I think music's changing. I think everything's changing a lot quicker than we can actually keep up with. And when it comes to the people that talk negatively, I think they're just afraid of change, and they just want to kind of keep a genre in a box. But if it does, then it's never going to move forward and evolve and remain interesting.
Adam, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm kind of a Luke. I don't really care. I don't really read comments, but we do have a fan page on, like, a Facebook page that I look at every now and again. And I remember for years, because our production, we always wanted to make the Struts sound new, so it's not just regurgitating the past. And I think the first two records are like that. And I remember seeing so many people say, "Oh, I just wish they were like more raw and rock and all this." And then we did Strange Days, which is, pretty much a live album with a few overdubs, really. Like, you can't get much raw than that. And then I see comments like, I missed their polished sound. And it's just like, at the end of the day, you ain't going to please everybody. So I just don't care. We're just going to do what we want to do. And if people like it, great. And if they want to come along for the ride. But I just think saying, oh, this isn't that, it's just, I don't know. I think people are just living in the past a bit, maybe. Or you just can't please everyone. Who cares?
No, the living in the past thing is apt to mention, because, to echo what Luke said. You know, if rock is just sort of like a museum piece or like a revivalist thing, it's never going to be forward, or all this kind of hand wringing people have about worried that rock is dead, which is something people have worried about since like the 80s or the 90s. Like that's, you know, it's never going to not be dead if we leave it in the past. And I'm definitely very excited to hear new music that you'll presumably be putting out in 2022. I don't know if it'll be the music you were working on before Strange Days, the music you've been working on in the last year or so, or like a combination of the two. What can you let your fans know about what to expect?
Well, like we said earlier, we definitely were going into the studio to kind of, well, we didn't really want to put a label on it, but we'd given ourselves 15 days. Strange Days was only 10. So who knows what could have happened. I do know that we're trying to reschedule that so we can sort of at least begin the foundations of a fourth record in a way that will have the advantages of like an album with like Strange Days, where it is like kind of felt and has a bit of like raw element to it, human element to it. But I think this time we're gonna really nurture it just a little bit more, and try and fight for the absolute best ideas that we can. But we will have new stuff out next year, like for sure.
Awesome. Well, I very much look forward to it. In the meantime, thank you for joining me for Believe in Music Week. Feel better, Luke.
Thank you.
And I'm always happy to talk with you. Always, it's very exciting to see the journey you've been on. I look forward to what's next.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.